So that was some kind of election, huh? I have never seen such a shit show for an election in my entire life. This makes 2000 look quaint. Oh, where to begin with this one? Just everything about this was a disaster. Not from a this group got elected, this group didn't perspective, but from a how this was handled, how this was organized, just how everything went perspective. It's insane. It really is. I'm making this video on Friday because I had said before I assumed that by Friday we would know what the hell's going on, and we're basically still at square one. It's unbelievable. There's so many perspectives where this election just like went pants on head levels of stupid. First, let's talk about the media because, oh boy. Now, the media during election night and to this day, to the time of recording, has been calling states that they absolutely shouldn't have, refusing to change states where the call shouldn't happen, and then refusing to give states to very obvious candidate until they absolutely are forced to. Virginia, every news organization gave to Biden when it was something like 55-45 for Trump. And it stayed that way up until about 75 or 80% of the votes were in, which caused a few of the news organizations to actually retract having given that to Biden and then ultimately giving it back to him when the full count came in and he was something like 300,000 ahead, I believe. Now, hindsight, or foresight, or whichever, Biden ended up winning that state, yes, but they could not have known that based on how the vote consistently stayed with Trump to a degree that they never should have called that. Same with Arizona. Arizona has been called very early on by several organizations, and they still refuse to change that, even though there's a lot of vote left, and it is quickly shifting Trump. And on the other end of that, Florida, they refused to call, which I get it. That one's Florida, so I'll give you a pass on that one. Texas, they refused to call until Trump was ahead 500,000. Hell, even more insane, they still have not given Trump Alaska. He's leading 2-1, and they still won't give him Alaska. That's how completely biased they have been in this. Watching election night, watching all of these talking heads, was basically like watching a DNC convention. It was just a bunch of people going, oh, this is how Biden needs to win, this is how Biden needs to win, this is how Biden needs to win. What about Trump? Fuck that guy. We don't want him to win. They didn't say that directly, obviously, but holy shit, it felt like it. Just whew, wow. And everything they've done since to twist everything that's been said. So that it comes off, oh, Biden is a perfect angel and is not doing anything bad, whereas Trump, he could say the same thing. Oh, he's literally Hitler. He's trying to destroy democracy. All that shit. Biden and Trump both gave speeches where they said that it looks like they're going to be the winner. Trump was saying that he was stealing the election for that. Biden, nothing came of it. It's nuts. Social media has been worse. Basically, every single post by Trump is being flagged. They've given up trying to appear unbiased. Like I believe, I'm serious. They believe that Biden is going to win, that their antitrust is going to be dismissed, that their 230 case is going to be dismissed, that they are going to be completely protected, so they have given up even trying to appear unbiased. They are just full on going nuclear on Trump and any other conservative, or hell, any centrist that's pointing out something seems weird here. And then the election itself. No less than 7 states have been completely fucked up in this. In no particular order, it's been Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada. And again, I'm going to go over the issues with these states in no particular order. Georgia had some kind of plumbing issue around midnight local time and just stopped counting. North Carolina counted the majority of their votes and then just stopped cold. They still have votes. They still have votes that they have not yet counted, and they are refusing to count any more until November 12th, which is the latest that mail-in ballots can arrive in that state. And once again, I'm going to emphasize, because YouTube's going to probably interpret this as misinformation, that's the latest date that they can accept ballots that have been marked as election day for when they were mailed out. They still have ballots, though, so why they aren't counting, I don't know. Pennsylvania, around, again, midnight local time, they just stopped cold, or at least they said they did. They said that they were going to refuse to count anymore from that point on. Wisconsin had just a sudden, just quick spike of about 120,000 Biden votes. It was just if you've seen the graph, and there are graphs for each of these states showing how they've progressed, and normally the graphs are pretty much just like inclines because they're counting and releasing in real time. Wisconsin had a sudden whoop, just straight shot of 120,000 votes. That was all Biden. Michigan, same thing. In the middle of the night, they had a sudden, just swift shoot up of about 100,000 votes. All Biden, all at once. And then the next morning, they boarded up their counting office windows for the Detroit office, which is very weird. Arizona, the Maricopa County election commissioner, and I've talked about that guy before, he stopped counting votes while people were still in line to vote. While the polls were still open, he straight up just told everyone, stop counting votes. And since then, Arizona has been doing this weird thing where they've been releasing vote counts in waves of about 40,000. And no one has explained why. And then Nevada, again, just straight up stopped counting and has been just slowly trickling out vote numbers. Each of these states has just done something that I have never seen a state do before. It's at this point, I pine for the days of hanging chads. Florida must be looking at everyone else and going, wow, so this is what you guys felt with us, huh? I see. I get it. I've never seen anything like this. And the weirdest part is each and every single one of these scenarios has favored Biden. That's what makes it completely suspicious that something is going on here, is that each one has worked out in Biden's favor. Georgia, when they stopped the count, Trump was ahead by a huge margin. Suddenly it flipped. To be fair, as of the time of the recording of this, Georgia is being led by only 2,000. So they are going to recount that. There's no way they're not. Pennsylvania, huge lead for Trump. I think it was in the ballpark of 800,000. Stop the count. Suddenly, it just all goes to Biden. It was somewhere in the ballpark of 80-20, which is an insane amount. They keep saying it's because, oh, well, mail-in ballots, obviously. I looked at these statistics for who was sent mail-in ballots. It should not be 80-20. It should be like 60-40, maybe 70-30. And that one's a stretch. But 80-20? No. That's not how that works. North Carolina, once again, they shut everything down so that it can't be called for Trump, even though he's ahead by, again, a good margin. Wisconsin, flipped middle of the night, went to Biden. Michigan, flipped middle of the night, went to Biden. Arizona has been for Biden the entire time, is trickling out votes at an incredibly slow rate. A lot of places are still saying it's Biden's. Nevada refuses to release any fucking information at all, and strangely they stopped doing that when the count suddenly went 8,000 for Biden, and then that's when they just stopped cold, and they've been trickling ever since. If one or two of these things favored Trump, then then I could chalk this up to just weird shit due to all the COVID crap. But because all of them favor Biden, I am left to think that, stuff happened. And real quick, because I know that people are going to get on me, I don't think that this is the Democrats as a whole that organized this. I think what happened is that the county and state commissioners or government officials in said state, whichever level, they got extremely nervous on election night, noticing that Trump was winning by about the same margin that he was in 2016. So each of these states, the county commissioner, the state commissioner, just the local government at large, whoever, they went rogue. They went rogue and did some shit. Wisconsin, it's very obvious, it's very blatant that they did the Arizona thing from the 2018 Senate race, which is something that I said was going to happen, and lo and behold, that at the 11th hour they magically found a box of ballots, about 120,000, all for Biden, 100% for Biden, none for Trump. Michigan, same thing. Pennsylvania, that one you don't even need to put in the conspiratorial camp. Like the state attorney general has been saying since before the election, oh, there's no chance this state is going for Trump. They're going to do everything in their power to stop that. Georgia, again, that one's just, I think that one's a weird counting thing. Arizona, that one, the Maricopa County election commissioner, who should already be in jail. I don't know why he was allowed to continue his job for this election when he is currently being investigated for what happened in 2018. Nevada, same thing. Like, each of these states, I think what happened, I really do think that they each individually went rogue because they assumed that none of the others were going to do anything. And then now you have a case where 7 went rogue, and it just becomes, oh, we overshot. Oops. Now, as for any kind of solution to this or what will happen, first of all, every state that I've listed, the margin of error has been so minuscule, with the exception of Michigan. Michigan was about 130 at the end of the day. But because of the weird shenanigans they have in Michigan, I think that they're going to look into that one as well. Every single state that I've mentioned, they're going to do a recount in. I'm pretty sure of that straight up. Wisconsin, they've already announced a recount. Georgia, they've already announced a recount. I'll be shocked if Pennsylvania doesn't announce a recount. Just these states will announce recounts themselves before anybody else files suit or does anything. Then Trump's going to file suits, which he's already started doing, but like they're going to be even more because it's very obvious that something weird went on here. It's probably going to have to go to the Supreme Court, which is probably going to result in a recount for the other states that aren't doing a recount, or like even further recounts where they have third parties looking into these ballots to go, this seems odd, I don't think this one's legit, that kind of stuff. And it's a question of if they remove enough of the very obviously fake ballots, the stuffed ballots. And I'm going to keep emphasizing the term stuffed because these are ballots that were just blank made for this in case things went Trump. These are not ones that they tried to send out to people that came back that like a writing smudge or something. No, these ones are complete and total fabrications just to get Trump, just to get Biden ahead. To the point where, and I'm going to emphasize allegedly because I haven't seen these, but there have been many sources from inside the counting places themselves that have said that these ballots have just Biden. There is no Senate pick. There is no House of Representative pick. There is no local government pick. There is nothing. There is just Biden for president, and that's it. And if that is the case, that is, again, very blatant, very obvious. Courts are going to look at these. Third parties are going to have to look at these. We're going to be reviewing this, my guess, late. We're going to start seeing the shift in this about the beginning of December. We're gonna well past Thanksgiving, and we're still going to be looking into this. We're going to start seeing some results the beginning of December. I don't think that we're going to see an end to this madness until the end of December, the beginning of January. We're going to have a resolution before Inauguration Day. That much I'm absolutely confident on. How it goes is anybody's guess, though. And real quick, because I'm going to have people that are screaming, "Oh, you're biased. You're only saying this because Trump's losing." If Trump was winning in Georgia by 10,000, which he was yesterday, I would be saying the same thing. Recount the votes. Trump was winning Pennsylvania, which he was yesterday. I'd be saying recount the votes. I wanted to wait to today rather than do the video yesterday to see what happened. And it's shifted very marginally to Biden, but my opinion has not shifted. If at the time that I would have normally done this video, Thursday, the vote had been what it was then, I would be saying now what I am now. Recount the votes in every single one of these states. It's not a matter of who wins, who loses. It's a matter of this is very blatant in what is happening, and it needs to not happen. Because if this is allowed to happen, what's the point in even having an election anymore? The idea is that the states are supposed to pick the candidate that the people want. The states are now going out of the way to pick the candidate that they want, not that their people want. That's not how democracy works. And if we're at this point where we're just allowing shit like this to happen, then what's the point anymore? There's already a government-approved candidate that's going to get elected. Why even bother showing up? I'm still gonna, because I view voting as your national responsibility as a citizen. But it does bring into question, why bother anymore? I really do hope there is some kind of resolution. I want this to be taken to courts. I want some kind of resolution to come from this. And let me say, I don't care what the resolution is. If the recount comes, if they find that, oh, nothing malicious happened, this was just weird counting happenstance, fine. I will accept Biden as the president. I won't like it, but I will accept it. Much like I did with Bush in 2000. I didn't like it, but I accepted it. I still thought that this was incredibly fishy, and this was probably something that shouldn't have happened, but I will accept it. Therein lies the difference. I'm not going to scream and rant, not my president. I'm going to dislike it, but I'll accept the result. Like, this has just been a train wreck that we are not going to see the end of for a while. I thought something weird was going to happen. I thought that something was going to go askew in a couple of states. I never in my wildest nightmare would have imagined 7. And that's just 7 that I can think of. There may have been a couple of others that did some weird shit as well. What makes this even more suspicious, the last little point I'm going to talk about here, the Democrats have been fighting tooth and nail against this. Poll watchers, or ballot watchers, more specifically, something that both parties are not only allowed, but that is actively encouraged to make sure that nothing happens in these poll counting facilities. They have been shutting out Republican watchers to the point where courts have been needing to order that they allow Republican watchers in. And the Democrats have been fighting tooth and nail, oh no one should be watching the poll counters and all that. They have been fighting tooth and nail against recounts in general. It's very weird to me. I think that they realize that something is slightly off too, because the House is going to go more Republican. They're losing seats. They're not going to lose many, and the Democrats are still going to have the majority in the House, but they are losing some when they were, based on how this presidential election is going, they should be gaining a ton. Senate is, it's going to very marginally stay Republican. It's going to be like 51-52, but it's still going to stay Republican, which again, based on the president, that shouldn't be happening. So something is really off when the president falls, but everything else stays in line or goes more that party's line. That's weird. That is just really, really weird. I just want this to be looked into, for courts to figure out what's going on, for recounts to happen, for just a completely clean result. We didn't get that with the election itself. I want the recounts and the courts to go, okay, now we've got it. I don't want there to be any possibility that this is seen as an illegitimate election, because that is not good at all. And again, it's not a matter of who wins, who loses. It's a matter of this needs to be a proper democracy. It needs to be looked into if there was even the possibility of anything unscrupulous happening. And it needs to be said if it did or didn't, and then a resolution needs to come of it. I'm just saying very basic things that you would think would be universal, but one side is very much against, which makes me even more suspicious that something happened. I'm looking forward to the next couple months. I thought pre-election was fun. Oh, post-election is going to be even worse. Joy of joys. There's been Math Machine saying, I'm going to see you guys with an update on this, probably in December. Ooh. Make it stop, please. Peace out.